Hello, my fellow chatterers and book hoarders, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. I'm Chatty, and welcome to my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I will be chatting away madly, and then by madly I mean slightly erratically and also slightly frustratingly, because this is take 2 of this video about my July stats. It's a July stats video. I'm talking about the books I read in July in terms of stats, which I enjoy. I like stats. So here we go, one shot, no editing. This is take 2 because I'm a massive idiot and pressed stop instead of pause when I was reshuffling my books. So I'm annoyed with myself. Let's do this, let's crack on. Cheers, everyone. Let's hope my brain works. So I read 7 books this month, and they are The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, which is the second in the Liveship Traders series. Inkdeath by Cornelia Funke, which is the third in the Inkworld series. Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl by Joya Goffrey. And A Court of Mist and Fury, also known as ACOTAR, which is the second book in the A Court of series by Sarah J. Maas. So let's look at sizes. So I categorise my sizes by animals because it works for me. I have read one mouse-sized book, which is The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. A mouse size is anything from 150 to 300 pages, and this is 170. I have read 2 cow-sized books, which is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl and She Who Became the Sun. This is anything from 300 to 500 pages. Alleged Good Girl is around 350, and She Who Became the Sun is around 400. I then read 3 elephant books. I originally thought Addie was cow-sized, but she is over 500 pages. She's around 540. So anything 500 to 700 is an elephant book in my world. And Inkdeath and ACOTAR are about 600. I then read one whale-sized book, which is anything that is 700 to 900 pages, and that is The Mad Ship. But bearing in mind, I did read a little bit of She Who Became the Sun before the month, and I read maybe like a quarter or a fifth of ACOTAR before the month as well. Just to give you a little perspective of exactly what I read. In age range, I've read 5 adult books: The Mad Ship, ACOTAR, Addie, Emperor's Soul, and She Who Became the Sun. According to the official age ranges, I've read 1 YA, which is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl, and 1 middle grade, which is Inkdeath. But because Inkdeath is so dense and so dark, I class it as YA. So I say I have read 2 YA and no middle grade this month. In terms of genre, I'm going to look at the official genre categories and then my version of the genre categories as well. So fantasies, I have read The Mad Ship, Inkdeath, and The Emperor's Soul. Now, some people would say I've technically read 6 because they would include She Who Became the Sun, Addie, and A Court of Mist and Fury in there as well. However, I do not. I very much classify She Who Became the Sun as magical realism because it is mainly a historical fiction with an aspect of a fantasy element in it. And the same with Addie LaRue. This is a mixture of historical fiction and contemporary with an aspect of magic within it. So I would class both of these as magical realism. So you could also say I've read a historical fiction and 1 historical fiction / contemporary. But for me, they are magical realism. So that's 3 fantasy, 2 magical realism, 1 contemporary, which is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl, and then 1 fantasy romance, which is ACOTAR. Because this can be classed as a fantasy or as a romance, so it's in its own category of fantasy romance. And formats are pretty straightforward this month. I've read 6 novels and, can't see the page. No, still can't see. There we go. Can't find it. 1 novella, which is The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. And weirdly or interestingly, looking at authors, I have read 6 novels by female authors and 1 by a male author, which is the novella, which is quite interesting. Sadly, no non-binary authors this month. No trans authors this month. It's very predominantly female reading this month. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because a lot of the series I have going are written by female authors. I don't know. But that's how it's landed this month. In terms of where the books have come from, these 4 I own. That's Liveship, Inkdeath, Addie and Empress Soul. And these 3, Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl, ACOTAR and She Who Became the Sun, are from the library, which I have to return very soon, especially ACOTAR because I've had that out for a really long time. I'm hoping I might be able to hold on to the other 2 for a little bit longer so I can use them in a video I haven't made yet, but we'll see. And yeah, I may put She Who Became the Sun, if I really enjoy the second one as well, on my I want to own list. And I definitely want to own Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl, so they're going on the list. And in terms of rereads and new reads, these 6 are new reads. The only reread was Inkdeath. The rest of them I'd never read before. And then looking at the books I have written by authors who are of the global majority, which is anywhere that is not white Western setting, I have 2. A lot of people use the term BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous and people of colour. I read Loud Black Girls where they use the term global majority, which I think is a really cool term, because if you look at the rest of the world, everyone who's not white would be a global majority rather than a minority. So I'm trying to change the language and use the word global majority because I think it's cooler. Sadly for this month, it's not what I wanted it to be. I want to have a split. And the reason for this is because most publishing industries automatically will publish white books and white stories. So it's giving other authors that platform and showing publishers we want to read other stories. We don't just want a whitewash here. We want to read, we want these voices. These are fantastic authors with brilliant stories to tell and we want to read them. So that's why I'm keeping an awareness of this, to check myself, to make sure that I am trying to push these authors forward and give them more of a foot in the door. If I think since the last time I did a stats video, there'd been the James Patterson kind of comment in the news, and some fantastic booktubers like Jessie from Bowties and Books and Jess Owens did a big piece on this and how ridiculous and out of order it was. So they have all the stats, they have all the details. Please go and check out those videos. One of the things that really struck me within that was there is someone within a publishing house who put forward a story by a Black author and someone around the table said, we've already got one. So it is happening, it is real. We need to push and say we want more stories by global majority. Thank you very much, publishing companies. So yes, I am just slightly disappointed with myself because this is worse than usual. It's been slightly under 50-50 every time I've been doing this. It's been like 1 or 2 books out of a larger number of books I've read that have been global majority, whereas this, it's less than half, which is a shame. It's kind of verging on a quarter, slightly over a quarter of books this time. So that's worse than usual, which is a shame. But these were 2 very fantastic books and I really, really enjoyed them and I'm so pleased I read them. But yes, I'd like more of a balance. So just to bear in mind and just for me to keep in my brain. So here comes the final part of my stats where I say my least favourite book of the month. Even if I've loved them all, I try and pick the one that I loved less than others. This month it feels very easy to the point that I am actually ordering all of the books that I read. So my least favourite, probably come as no surprise, is A Court of Mist and Fury. This book is just not for me. I'm not engaging with the fantasy and I'm not invested in the relationship, but I'm keeping reading with the series because it's part of my Chatties challenge. and I like to give my opinion on it. The second one was such a shame. It was such a shame. It wasn't headed for this point, but endings are really important to me. Like, it's the story is the whole package. It's not just, well, I don't like it, but it's beautifully written, or, well, I enjoyed this part, but not this part. It's the whole thing. And if the whole thing is not giving me joy, if it feels like disjointed or doesn't fit, it affects my enjoyment of the book overall, because I can't unread what I've read. And that's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It was on its way, but the ending, it's like, what was that? Where did that come from? I feel so confused. I feel the themes you were going for just totally went in a different place, and I needed other things in here for me to go, yeah, that works. There will be more information in my spoilers video as to what I'm talking about, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So many other people loved it. Like, these two books here are beloved by so many people, so there will be other booktubers out there who can give you the opposite side of why these books are amazing. But for me, no, didn't work. Sorry. Third one is third one that's trying to hit me. Sorry that you're not higher up. Is Inkdeath. And although I enjoyed it, it's got a nostalgia appeal. It's just very dense and dark than what I want in my middle grades. And again, I go into spoilers. There's a couple of other things that I wanted more of, I wanted to see. But it is really interesting, and I did enjoy the journey. Inkheart, I absolutely love and adore, holds such a special place in my heart. But the other two just don't quite meet that. Well, no, they don't meet that for me, but it's still a fun ride. And the next, as much as I said, I'm ordering them in the way I like. I have a tie just because I just think it's amazing that within such a small book, Brandon Sanderson can just do so much within it. Like, it's 170 pages, but we have a world, we have a character, we have a cast, we have a plot, we have a magic system, and it's incredible. It's so good. That it is also just as good as this fantastic book, She Who Became the Sun, which is a full-length novel. And the historical detail in here, the characters, the plotting, it was really fun in this. I really, really enjoyed this book. So yeah, these two are my second place. Second place in my what I loved this month. And then I have a tie for first, just because the books are so different. I just feel you can't compare them because they are very different vibes, but within their own categories are just so fantastically perfect. I love them that much. And that is Madship and Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl. So one of my favourite genres I have discovered from doing booktube is I love YA contemporary. Not all YA contemporary. I feel there are some less good ones out there, as you get in all genres. But when I hear people raving about a YA contemporary, I will pick it up and have an amazing time with it. And so far, all the YA contemporary I've read has been amazing. So thank you, booktubers, for your amazing recommendations. It works for me. And this one was just so perfectly done. Like, the characters, the themes, the messages, the family, it was all fabulous, and it was so gripping. I just kept going. I just kept reading. I couldn't put it down. It was so readable. And I would definitely reread this, and I would recommend it to many people, because I think the messages in here are fantastic, and it highlights a medical condition that I wasn't even aware of. And I think it's a brilliant book, to the point that I feel it, when it gets more hype, it's going to be one of those books that people are going to be asking to be banned from schools because it's that good. All the best books get banned from schools, don't they? By certain well-intentioned parents. So, The Madship was an example of absolutely fantastic high fantasy, epic fantasy, whatever you like to call it. The world is so detailed, characters are phenomenal. Plot is brilliant. I have another book baby in here. I've adopted another Liveship. It's a slightly tricky one. We may need some sort of like, you know, parent-child counselling within it, but I've adopted them. You know, they're now part of my many book babies family, and I just love this book so much, so much. I love the series so much. It's just so good. So yes, it couldn't not be at the top because it is just perfection. It is perfection. These two are perfection within their different genres. So there we go. This is my reading this month. I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments down below. I mean, you may have a very different order to what you love than me. Please chat to me about it. We know I love a chat, and happy reading, everyone. Bye.